Have we actually found an issue that the whole country can unite behind, that we're all in favor of, and one that got 100% support in Congress? Both houses? Both parties? Yes. Yes, we have. And apparently it's no tax on tips. Love it. All right. Well, we'll talk about that for sure. What does it all mean? I'll tell you what it means. The takeaway is going to be, your voice is heard. Our voices are heard. It just takes a lot of work and a lot of groundswell and effort, because I've never seen any segment of the population of anybody or anything that is united behind this than the service workers. It was incredible to see. It was awesome. Here's another question to ask. Why is Nancy Mace getting naked on the floor of Congress on Capitol Hill? Well, actually, she wasn't getting naked, and she was showing pictures of herself because she was the victim of a crime. And actually, she made a really good point. And actually, even me, who sees all these news stories all the time, bought the initial hype to try to shoot this thing down. And when I looked into it a little further, I realized, you know what? I think she's right about this. I actually support her cause, and I think I might have done the same thing. Perfect example of a news story that wasn't all it seems at first, but we'll get into that as well. And who are you going to support? A big box store that says, yep, these tariffs are bad, we're going to have to raise prices on you. Or the one that says, no, we already have a lot of our products made in the USA, so we're going to be pretty good. Which would you support? I know which one I'm going to support, so we'll see how it all breaks down. A lot to cover. Thanks for being here. The Wicked Wednesday. Here we are right in the middle of it. News happens. What does it mean to us? Let's break it all down and take it further. All right. First of all, let's get some business out of the way. Thanks for finding the Wicked Wisdom social media platforms. Basically, if you look for that and me, you're going to find me. That's where the Wicked Radio live stream lives as a replay and the audio podcast as well. All your favorite platforms. But here's the amazing thing, and I was so psyched to see this. And we all first saw and heard the whole concept of no tax on tips during the campaign, right? Full confession, full disclosure. I was one of those people that said, good idea. I don't ever see this happening. I mean, how could it, right? How could Trump actually get this done? But there he was in the campaign. Let's go back just it wasn't that long ago we first heard this concept. And it was one of the late ideas in the campaign of 24. Remember that? Came out maybe October 24, maybe around there. I don't know, but here it was.
No tax.
Yes?
On
yes?
tips.
Yeah! I'm telling you, like I said a couple of minutes ago there in the introduction, I've never, ever, completely organic, by the way, I've never seen a segment of the population come out so much in support of any concept whatsoever. and that, not even unionized, just people. Just hardworking Americans. And this is why it was such a brilliant idea for him to come out with this. So many people coming out organically to support this. And that was the service industry workers. So smart. Because if anybody was hit during, first of all, the pandemic, obviously, but also recovering from that in the Biden policies and, you know, people trying to get back to normal habits and going to restaurants or whatever, the service industry was hit the hardest. So they got a hold of this idea. Completely organically, honestly. They formed Facebook groups. They gathered en masse. They were I saw a certain restaurant chain had all of their workers kind of like gather together and call their individual senators and congressmen to get this thing passed, push the idea. And it was a while ago now. I mean, we're talking to the campaign late in 24 when that whole idea was brought forth. Sure, a lot of them voted for Trump, but it's got to be beyond that. You got to do something with it, right? You got to get it into legislation, which we'll get to here in a second. And they kept up the pressure, and they kept talking about it. Who knew one of the strongest forces in the country was big waitress or big bartender? Because they are, and they got it done, and I congratulate them for that, because this was amazing. The end result, how often do you see this? And how sad is it that we're actually shocked that you see something passed, a good idea passed, 100-0 in the Senate? And it'll go on here in different forms, but there's almost 100% chance of this becoming the law of the land. Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, he's back. He got to announce it yesterday because he was the one that apparently worked the room and talked to everybody and said, you support this? You support this? And he said nobody objected to it. This is his announcement.
What we just saw is the Senate passing no tax on tips 100-0.
And what he said was, he went around the room, everybody he talked to was in favor of it, which is great. It's so sad that we're shocked that something would be unifying like that, right? But it doesn't matter. It is, and it's great news for everybody. You know what this also means? This means that everybody that voted for it is going to claim credit for it. That means Republicans who had nothing to do with the Trump campaign. That means Democrats who probably opposed it during the Trump campaign for the second term. They'll take credit for this too. They'll go back to their home districts and they'll be saying, it was me that got all your taxes taken away on tips and made it the law of the land. Politicians are going to politic. Who the hell cares? Here's the takeaway, and here's what matters. A great idea was put forth, and it's true. It was put forth by Trump, whether you like him or not. Made it into, the public consciousness. Most important part being that the public kept this up. The service industry workers that wanted badly no tax on tips, and they shouldn't be taxed on tips, kept up the pressure, kept up the support, and they got it done, and the next step, it's going to be the law of the land officially. That's amazing. That's how this is supposed to work. Here's the real takeaway, the most important part. Every time, and I do it too, every time you think your voice isn't heard, it's like, well, great. As soon as they get elected, they move on and they just fundraise again, and all these great ideas just kind of die on the steps of Congress, right? Not always. If there's big enough momentum and the public consciousness wants it bad enough, like no tax on tips. It's amazing. It's amazing what happened here. It really is. And I think it proved to a lot of people you can get it done if you're passionate enough about it. I really do. It's a great thing. First of all, the concept of no tax on tips, but the fact that many people, again, I'll say it, organically, got together, mostly from that industry, the service workers, bartenders, waiters, valets, anybody that really depends on cash tips, any kind of tip, whatever it is. Why should they be taxed on that? Got it done because they pushed for it. This is what, I don't know, the patriot in me feels so proud of this, that this actually got done. I love it. I love that this happened. So, good. And when they try to take credit for it, people that had nothing to do with it, just let it go by. Because they're going to say that anyway. Don't worry about that. Don't let it bother you. All right, here's something else that happened on Capitol Hill yesterday. Why is Nancy Mace getting naked on the floor of Congress in a hearing room? That's what I thought at first, too. Because maybe you did too, and even I see news stories every single day, even I got conned by this. Good lesson for me, for old Wicked Willie here. Don't take an initial comment about a news story at face value. Look into it a little bit deeper. It was a good reminder for me, so I took that to heart yesterday. So I said, why is she doing this? Because it got a lot of headlines, and I thought, full disclosure here, full admission, I thought, oh boy, because she's done some pretty outrageous stuff before. I think she's just trying to grab some headlines. She's going to fundraise off this. And she said something about showing her naked body on the floor. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I forgot about it for a little bit. And I said, then it bothered me. And then I looked at it again. I said, oh, what really is this about? And I said, oh, okay, hold on. When I got the details, and this is why it's important to look into the story beyond the headlines. And I got the details. I said, she's got a pretty good reason here. That's what happened. Oh, man. And then I thought about it again, and I said, if I had this platform that she does, I would do the exact same damn thing. Not showing any pictures of me naked. You don't want to see that. But making a big deal of it once I found the details. So here she is as she was about to go into her hearing in Congress, talking about what her plan was. And she didn't really show herself naked. It was a picture of a still shot of her or she was videotaped without her consent. And she apparently wasn't the only one by this guy. And then she talked about some of the details. But this is her as she was about to go in and talk about it.
Today in my hearing, I'm going to dissect what that guy did to dozens of women hidden on a hidden camera and other devices as he recorded them with impunity, without their knowledge, without their permission, and without their consent. Patrick Bryant, I hope you're ready. I'm also going to be sharing some of the imagery that Patrick Bryant, that guy right there, took of myself and other women without our knowledge, without our permission, and without our consent.
Here's some of the details, and she shared right there. So this Patrick Bryant guy she mentioned a couple of times in the video. This was an ex-fiance. Here's what this dirtbag did. Check this out. So he, I guess, along with some others, like co-conspirators, I don't know, whatever it is, they were into taking unsolicited, without permission, still shots and videos of women, and I guess girlfriends, fiance, whatever it was, but Nancy Mace was involved, and posting them on, this is the part that got me, posting them online to a specific website. I guess they had collections, lots of it, of lots of people, and just lots of imagery of this, and collected in files, and God knows shared what else but beyond that website. Once I heard that, and this is where the dad in me came out. Every once in a while, and if you're a parent of any kind, you know what I'm talking about here. There's just it's like your self-defense mechanism goes up, especially if you're like me and you have daughters. And I thought, wow, well, this is a different story than what I was originally told. And I said, if anybody had done this to one of my daughters, well, I'm not going to tell you the first part what I would do to them, but the second part is, more importantly, if I had a platform like Nancy Mace, I would do that. Yeah, I'm down. I'm down with that. I don't blame her at all. And apparently, she talked about pushing for regulations about this kind of stuff, going after those kind of predators and doing it. And God, it's an ex-fiance of hers or whatever. But yeah, I would. I would do it. And apparently, she showed the still shots that were blurred out. It wasn't exactly as it was hyped up, but sometimes that hype works, though, even though it's misunderstood by me at first that Nancy Mace is going to be naked on the floor of Congress or showing her naked pictures of that got attention and that got us talking about it. So I understand why she did it. But again, the lesson for me was look into it a little bit more. You gotta look beyond the headlines to understand what's going on here. And lo and behold, at the end of that story, I said, yeah, I would do the same thing if I was her. Absolutely. And stop the. Can you think of anything, by the way, and this goes to you, my fellow guys out there, my fellow dads too. Can you think of anything more gutless than taking a creepy sneak shot of a woman and then posting it online for other people to see? God, you're not a dude. You're not a man if you do that. I'm sorry, you're just not. Oh, God, I hate that. I really do. So good for her, and I hope it does have an effect. Well, here's our other big story of the day, and this goes to your pocketbook. Well, I guess No Tax on Tips does too, but who would you rather give your money to? A big box chainsaw, and this is good because we can compare apples to apples here. A big box store that says, tariffs are tough. We're going to have to raise prices on you. Okay? Or a big box store that says, these tariffs are tough. But most of our stuff is from America, so I don't think it's going to affect us. Maybe not be able to lower prices, but we're not going to raise them. How about that? Which would you choose before you know the players involved here? Because I know which one I would choose. So this is Home Depot's response, and I think a very, very smart response after Walmart had said, Walmart was the culprit saying, yeah, we're going to have to raise prices. And by the way, didn't they say that pretty early? Like, I don't know whether they're trying to get ahead of the story or they're just trying to take advantage of the story. But boy, they seemed gung-ho to say this. And it wasn't in an apologetic tone, by the way. I heard the CEO. It was like, tariffs are tough. Yep, going to have to pay more. Screw you, Walmart. And I know that a lot of you, us, all of us together, a massive section of this country shops at Walmart. Lower prices, I get it, right? But how about this concept, Walmart? How about if you imported and you bought less Chinese crap? Because if you ever go through a Walmart section and you actually do a little project and you look at how much of the stuff is made in the U.S., not a lot. In every department, too. I love to go there for, like, bass fishing gear. You would think a lot of that stuff would be made in the South, Arkansas, Alabama, Florida. No, a lot of it's from China too. And of course the clothing, and of course even a lot of the food manufacturing stuff. They've done that for years. Cheap Chinese goods that breaks a lot, not all of it, but a lot of it. And how they were supposed to pass those cheaper prices on to you. Oh, except when the world changes, and now we're in a tariff war to try to make more things made in America, and all of a sudden, right out of the gun, Walmart, one of the first major, huge retailers saying, yeah, we're going to have to raise prices, sorry. Okay, well, we'll see how that goes. Compare that to this. Home Depot comes out, their CEO, it was a written statement, I have the CNBC audio for you, and they say, well, we looked at this. We took a month and a half to examine this, how it's going to affect us, and I think we should be good because we determined that a lot of our products are American sourced anyway. This is a little long, but you got to hear the exact wording on it. This is the statement from Home Depot itself, the CEO, read by, and CNBC was talking about it. It was a huge story yesterday.
When it comes to tariffs, it's pretty important to give context that for Home Depot, more than 50% of our purchases are sourced in the United States. He says the vast number of suppliers have diversified sourcing. And he said this, 12 months from now, no single country outside of the United States will represent more than 10% of Home Depot's purchases. Oh. He says because of our scale, great partnerships with our partners and our suppliers, and productivity, we continue to drive our business. He said we intend to generally maintain our current pricing levels across our portfolio. And that's
okay. What they're saying there, long statement, I get it, because she had to read it. But it means prices are pretty much going to stay low. Maybe not lowering, but they're going to stay low because most of their stuff is sourced. I don't know. I would imagine Lowe's is the same because when I think of Home Depot and Lowe's, I think of a lot of lumber. Yeah, a lot of tools, but a lot of those American companies, I'm sure they have some stuff that's foreign made, but a lot of it's sourced in the U.S. But Home Depot happened to make a concerted effort to tell you and me and everybody else that they're going to keep their prices low. Good. Good for them. Smart move. And it reminded me of McDonald's at the tail end of the pandemic. McDonald's made a concerted effort to actually lower prices. They actually did it. Somebody, somewhere in their corporate chain, convinced them to do that because that's tough in corporate America, to tell your board, hey, you know what? Profit's going to be a little bit down. What? We're going to lower prices this quarter. What? For the long term. It's a tough sell, but somebody had the balls to do it in McDonald's, and it worked. So a little bit of short-term pain for long-term loyalty because consumers are smarter now. Good for McDonald's, and I think the same thing's going to happen to Home Depot. That builds loyalty with the American consumer. It does with me. Does it with you? You more likely to go there now? I am. Absolutely I am, because they made that statement. They did it the right way, and they're smart. Now, here's the thing. This is where these tariffs can be good. Thinking, Bill, you're on crack. They're not good. They're I don't know. Like I said before, when this first was announced, it's short-term pain for long-term gain. Because if we get back to manufacturing things in this country, I don't know when we lost it. I think we gave up. When I was a kid in the 80s, it was a big deal. Like, it was a big thing. Everybody, like, I think there were made in the USA commercials. If you're around my age, middle-aged dude, maybe you remember that too from TV in the 80s. I remember that specifically. Look for the Made in the USA label. I think it might have been a PSA or something. I have no idea, but that was a big deal. And then we kind of went by the wayside because we all gave up and we said, oh, it's all made in China or Taiwan, even Vietnam now. It was a big deal. That's becoming valuable again. That Made in the USA brand is becoming valuable again. It always used to mean higher quality. Maybe now it means higher quality and lower prices. Maybe. That's the long-term part of these tariffs. That's what that's going to mean for us. Here's the other thing that's good about this happening. Remember when Amazon came out and it shook a lot of these box stores to the core? Because all of a sudden you didn't need a lot of them? It's just business. It's just brutal. It just is. You're going to get eaten by your competition. Somebody that does it smarter, better, and cheaper and more convenient for the consumer. That's what's going to win. That's what happened. I think the same thing's going to happen here to big retailers with the tariff deal. You've got somebody like Walmart. They're not going out of business, trust me. But they might get hurt by saying that, well, we've got to raise prices against the smart companies like Home Depot. Here's what it's doing to you and me. Here's the takeaway. Here's what it means. It means you and I have a great chance to get smarter about where we buy, where you spend your money. And it all happened. We all get lazy in good times, right? When the economy's booming, it's like, I don't care how much gas. I don't care how much gas prices. Who the hell cares? I've got to get gas anyway. Or I'll buy it. I'll splurge a little bit more. When times get tight, we all become better consumers, right? We all start to, we start to price compare, go to buyers clubs, Costco and BJ's and Sam's Club or whatever. We all get smarter, and that's good. And it's good. We should maintain that mindset and that approach as consumers all the time. And this is just a good reminder of that whole thing. So these tariffs, the big box stores or retailers that actually are going to raise prices on you, it's a good time to question whether I really need them. I mentioned before that I like to go to Walmart for fishing stuff. I bet you I can find a lot of that online. Do I need them? No. So it's good. It's a good thing. So that's the takeaway. But the most important takeaway today, out of all of it, I think, honestly, going back to no tax on tips, our voices actually are heard. They really are. This no tax on tips thing it's going to become the law of the land eventually, whether it's in the big, beautiful spending bill or not, or standalone on its own. 100-0. in the Senate, which means it's going to have that kind of support in the House, whatever form this takes, obviously, because the people demanded it completely organically. Americans stood up, yes, mostly service workers, and they said, yeah, get this done, or we're going to vote you out. We want this badly. It actually can work. That's like the most patriotic thing I think I've ever talked about. I love that. That and read beyond the headlines with the Nancy Mace story, because I think I would have done the same thing. Thanks for finding me, by the way. I got to get out of here. I'm out of material. Thanks for finding Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams, all the social media platforms where the live stream here lives every day in a replay as well on X too. Make sure on those platforms, too, do me a favor, do me a solid, and press follow so we can share more stuff. And on the social media platforms, I've got some extended feature interviews I'm going to put up there. They won't be on X. They'll just be on those other channels. So, and don't forget the audio podcast. I'm about to post that right now. If you prefer to listen, I don't blame you. Audio is still king. I get it, too. Thanks for finding me. Don't take any crap from anybody. Have a wicked, awesome Wednesday. We'll talk tomorrow.